Hi, how are you? Thank you for being here. I wanted to do a little catch-up video, which I do every week after each class, just so that we can, in case you've not been able to be, excuse me, sorry, be at the training today, you can use this along with the booklet which I sent everybody on the email as I do every week. So this week is something that during last week, it came up as something important, and that a lot of you were struggling with this. So I have created this week, mainly this morning. You're welcome, 5:30, as you do. Because I wanted to get everything that was in my head down down in a workbook for you. So that will have been sent to you first thing this morning. And like I said, this is a little video that goes with it. So today it's the art of saying no, by myself. So what we've done here, if it's all right, what I'll do is I'll just read some of this to you, and then I will just go through to the different exercises and give you an idea of what we've covered today and some of the answers that some of the other people in the class have given us, just so you've got these experiences yourself. So the importance of saying no. I'll be honest with you, rather than read it all to you, I'll just kind of paraphrase it for you. I hear this so often, and I always hear I can never say no. And my answer to that is, if you're telling yourself that you can never say no, I'll almost guarantee that you'll never be able to say no. So the first thing I always ask anybody to do is, if I hear them say that, is to say, I am learning, when appropriate, to say no. I'm going to try one at a time to say no. Because if you're telling yourself no, that's what you're going to be doing. I hear a lot as well about, we looked at today, why we struggle to say no. So we're going to look to cover that as well. Different ways of saying no. And also, what does it bring up? That's the big thing that we've had today, actually, is what does this whole thing bring up? Because it's not just about saying, no, I can't do such a thing. So as you can see, there we go. So you've all got the workbooks as well. So please, as you're going along with the workbooks, just have a read through. So we've then looked at why it's hard to say no. Many people have difficulty saying no. So please don't think you're on your own. That's the main thing I wanted to say to you today. It often becomes a habit that we automatically say yes, even if we don't want to do things. Over time, environment, experiences, we end up with this unhelpful belief system that makes it difficult for us to say no. Also, people may have got into a habit of asking you to do things, and because you've always said yes, they just presume it's going to be a yes anyhow. I think my big thought on this is, when we are little, we go to school, and we mums and dads want us to be liked, we want us to share, we want us to be friends with everybody, which is lovely, really lovely value to have. However, what we don't necessarily get taught is when to say no and where our boundaries are. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up, because as an adult now, we do have these choices that we can make. I'm presuming you can hear Fergie in the background. Lord above knows what he's doing behind me. Fergie's my little spaniel, sorry, just in case you're wondering who Fergie is. So as an adult now, we are left with a situation that we are saying yes to everything, and left with the adult feelings of becoming increasingly frustrated and overwhelmed. And sometimes we can get resentful as well if people are asking us all the time to do things, and we're smiling and going, yeah, I'll do that. And then when they've gone, you're thinking, why am I doing that? At the end of the day, you're the one that said yes. Just wanted to point that out. So the first exercise that we did today is, there are many reasons why we struggle to say no. And I wanted us to, this is the first exercise that we did today, was list below examples of saying no. So the example there was saying no, it could be perceived as being rude or aggressive, which it's not, by the way, but that could be one of the reasons. So just what I want you to do for a moment here is just pause this video and write down all of the examples as to why you think that saying no, you struggle to say no. Just going to pause it there, and then when you come back, I wanted to go through some of the reasons that came up today. It's become a habit for everybody. It's become a habit for other people to ask me, and it's become a habit that I say yes anyhow. Sorry, I just wanted to, there we go, that's better. What we did look at today, which was interesting, is we struggle to say no because actually it makes us feel good, and we like helping, which is lovely. That's a lovely feeling. However, if that's what's driving you, and then you ended up with the resentment and the frustration, and they ended up in a big heap because you're absolutely shattered, maybe we need to look at other ways of making ourselves feel good. It's interesting as well, it came up, I need I need to be needed and wanted. That doesn't mean that other people can have you running around and being exhausted to that point, because that's not about how you show love and appreciation to somebody. Other things that came up there was I feel guilty, I feel like I'm letting people down. What happens if people don't like me? So there was a long list there today. So whatever you've got on your list, thank you very much for doing that. It's really appreciated. So we then looked at different ways of saying no. So the idea of saying no is rude, I think, comes from the occasional people we have met or seen on TV that are actually rude, who would not think twice of not helping the person who was in desperate need and took great delight in saying so as they walked away. Cue dramatic music as they storm away. I think in my head, and you have to be of a certain vintage here, that I had in my head Nasty Nick from EastEnders, and all I could hear is the doom, 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 doom as he walked off. And I think that's how we pursue, saying no, and it's not. That's just somebody who is rude. When you say no, it doesn't mean that you're being rude. So it's not often that I use the word no, as I find ways that I'm able to get my message across that best suit my needs in that particular moment. And I find that it can buy me some time as well. I've been put under pressure or under a spot. And that's what I want you to look at, is if someone asks you to do something and your stomach drops, it's about finding yourself some time in that moment to think, is this something that I want to do? Or is this actually, is this something that I don't want to do and I feel like I'm being put under pressure for it? So it's how can you find that space in between time? We looked here as well. I wanted us to look at the different basic principles that we can apply when you want to say no. We looked at these being straightforward and honest, so we're not being rude, but we can make the point effectively. Keep it brief and clear. Let them know what you need. Tell them you need to go and check your diary. So this will give you some time to breathe. It could be, I need to just check my other half what you're doing. I need to see what the kids have got on that day. So find yourself some time to go away and give yourself some proper time to think that, instead of kind of automatically going, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. It has become a habit. You don't have to apologise when you say no, though sometimes they can help us feel better as we feel we're being polite. So I was looking through all my notes this morning, and I think this is actually saying to us, you don't have to apologise for saying no. But I just wanted to just kind of say, if we're saying to someone, I'm really sorry I can't do it, that's okay, because that's making us as a human feel it's okay to do that. So it's up to you however you want to do it. But I do want to say to you, some people say don't apologise for it. But I think if one of our real big fears of not saying no is being rude, then actually by having that little bit at the beginning there, I'm okay with that, if you're okay with that. Also, again, it's about how we say it. If you've got the arms crossed and I don't want to do it, you're not going to speak like that. You're just not. You're not going to speak like that. So it's just knowing when if we're saying no, that we're being honest with people, but we're coming from our hearts as well. But it is also putting that line in the sand as well. So it's just about your tone, how you're speaking to someone. And then here it says, no, it's okay to say no. What would you teach your child to say if you thought they were being taken advantage of? Again, you're putting your adult hat on them. What would you say if it was your child or your niece or nephew or grandson or friend's child and they were taking on too much and people were taking advantage? You wouldn't just say, well, carry on because you'll feel guilty otherwise. You'd give them some advice. What would you say to them there? So we then looked at the different ways to say no, and how we can find that little bit of breathing space to find out whether it is something that we want to do or whether or not it isn't something we want to do. So we looked at different ways there. I'll put everything on, just press pause on this for a moment while you're doing this. So some of the ideas that we came up with today is that is so kind of you. Thank you to have thought of me. This, however, right now I can't do this. How lovely of you to trust me with this. I can't do it. I'm really sorry I don't have the time right now. Have you noticed I'm not expanding? I'm putting like a full stop at the end of it. We were saying before about being brief. You don't have to explain why you can't do something. Some of the ones that I came up with And again, this is always about knowing who your audience is. So if you know someone really, really well, you could probably be a little bit, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. Why would I want to do that? If you know them really, really well, you could just turn around and say, I can't this time, maybe another time. That isn't working for me, sorry. I can't, but thank you for the offer. Another one you can always put in, which, let's be honest, is something to really think about here. Is I'm really sorry, I can't afford to do that right now. Because if we're spending money on doing something that we don't want to do, then you're not spending money on something that you do want to do. So think about it that way. So there's absolutely no shame in turning around and saying to someone, I can't do that right now. I can't afford it right now. And if they come back and say, oh, you can pay me back, you can pay me back. If it's something you don't want to do, think of it that way. That money you're spending on something you don't want to do isn't being spent on something that you could do that you'd really enjoy. I think that's really, really important. Let me check my diary. Let me check what's on the calendar. And then, like I said, that gives you the breathing space to go away and have a think about it. And then you can always come back to them and say, listen, really sorry, I've got something on that day, or I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I've not felt 100%, I need to just stop on that day, I've got this coming up. There's lots of ways that you can say to someone. It doesn't have to be like this big, bright, lettered no with an exclamation mark. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're just saying no, we're saying it gently, but with assertiveness, and just speaking from where we are. So that's what we covered. Can you hear these two behind me? So on here, there are different ways of saying no. And there are lists. There are six ways of doing that. There's the direct way. When someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, just say no. I always want to go off into the Grange Hill song there. You've got to be a certain age to know that one. There's a reflective way of doing that. There's the reasoned way, the rain check, inquiring, and the broken record. The broken record is a really good one. If you know someone's... And I'm not saying that everybody who asks you to do something is manipulating you, because that's not true, but there will be people out there and they'll try and grind you down. But please do it. Oh, but you always do it. Oh, come on, you know you want to do it. So sometimes it's a little bit like a broken record where you have to say, I can't do that today, sorry. I can't do that, sorry. And don't budge from where you are. I like this little quote. Remember, other people have the right to ask and you have the right to refuse. Highlight that, put that somewhere. So we also then looked at changing your thinking, finding new beliefs around saying no. So when you say no, you are refusing a request. You are not rejecting a person. That's really important. You've got to separate it. What you're doing is they've requested something from you, and if you are not able to or want to at that point, that's what you're refusing. You're not rejecting that person. Absolutely split those up. This is about choice. When you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. And then we went through a list on there of different ones. Respect has to work both ways, from others but also from yourself. You are just as important as anyone else. And then at the end there it says it's all about finding a balance. I've then put a suggestion down there. Go back to the different ways to say no exercise. Is there anything from what we've read there that you can continue to add? So if there is, just go back up to where we were earlier and keep adding it on. It's just trying to find different ways. It's almost like learning new lines. Because if you've been saying for so long, I can never say this, I can never say no, then what you're doing is you're just finding new ways to be able to say that. It's just practicing. Some will work well better than others. You'll find your way with it. But you've got to start. Oh, if you choose to do. Okay. This is what I want us to do to finish up the exercise today. So things I can say to myself when saying no. So this is where we spend a moment now to think about what you want to say to yourself when you say no. So the example, it's okay for me to say no. It's that reassurance to you. Do you remember we've talked about stepping outside our comfort zone? That's what we're doing right now. I've said no in the past and it's been fine. So it's that reassurance that we would say to each other. If we were sat here in class now, we would say that to each other. It's learning to say that to ourselves. And that's it. That's our 8 pages from today. If you've got any questions, please just message me, email me, and I'll get back to you. Thank you as always for all your contributions, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks very much. Bye.